Miranda, you have a piece today up, great piece, by the way, in the New York Post about this Hunter Biden stuff leading back to Joe, which that gets us into a whole different realm if that turns out to be verifiable, correct? What do you have? What's going on?
Well, look, this has really been known since our very first story in October of 2020. If you remember that we ran from the first story from the Hunter Biden laptop was an email sent by Hunter Biden's Ukrainian benefactor from this corrupt energy company called Burisma that was paying him $1 million a year to sit on its board. That was an email from an executive there at Burisma thanking Hunter for introducing him to his father having a meeting in Washington, D.C. in 2015. So we didn't know exactly what that meeting was about, but we put that email, having verified it with other people, put that email in the paper, and we asked the Biden campaign about it. Joe Biden's response was to go to ground, to get his minions to claim that it wasn't true. Only last year, the White House admitted that, yes, Joe Biden had showed up to this meeting, which we later discovered was not just any old meeting. It was a dinner at Cafe Milano, a well-known Italian restaurant in Georgetown, in a private room. And Hunter used to use the private rooms at Cafe Milano to do business and to introduce his father to his overseas business partners. And on this particular evening in April of 2015, on the guest list were Ukrainians, Russians, Kazakhstanis. And there's an unverified photo of Joe Biden with a couple of Kazakhstanis. May not have been in that night, but it was in Cafe Milano. So, there was a lot of evidence to show that Joe Biden, at the very least, was aware of Hunter Biden's overseas business dealings, had met with Hunter Biden's overseas business partners on, dozens of occasions, we could say, that there's evidence of. And so his repeated insistence during the campaign and from the White House podium since that he knew nothing about his son Hunter's overseas business dealings is just shown to be a lie.
Miranda, why Hunter? And this is what I mean by why Hunter. If you're Joe Biden and you want to send out, an emissary to go do your bidding for you around the world, there's no one else in this family you could send beyond your drugged out son who enjoys ladies of the night, if you will. He seems like such an odd representative for the family. Do you have some insight into why he would pick Hunter of all people?
Look, Hunter was a fairly plausible person, before 2015, I guess, when his brother Beau died and he really fell off the tracks. He had sort of various alcohol and maybe drug issues and went to rehab and so on before that. But he still was holding down, seemingly a normal life with a very nice wife and 3 little kids in Washington, D.C. He was, in the social circuit, going to parties, mixing with sensible people in the administration. So I guess he was working as a lobbyist. The Obama people decided that was not going to fly when they picked Joe as their vice president. So Hunter had to find another line of work. Hunter was always, since university days, pegged as the sort of bag man for the family. And his role had been assigned to him by Joe very early on, that he would be the guy who would get jobs at inflated salaries from Joe's sponsors and donors, and that he would use that money to sort of fund the expenses of the rest of the family. And he's complained bitterly about that he was basically had to give half his salary to Pop. Well, of course, he only got the salary through Pop, aka Joe Biden, but that he was footing the bill for a lavish lifestyle for the rest of the family because, of course, Joe and his older son, Beau, Joe had destined for greater things in politics, and they had to remain squeaky clean on financial issues. And that's why Joe Biden even though he lives a very lavish caviar lifestyle, he always maintained that he was the poorest man in Congress. He's honest Joe, lunch pail Joe. He could get away with that because Hunter was the one who was the bag man and funding the lifestyle that he enjoyed.